Hello to all my friends out there. Hi, you guys. I hope everyone is doing okay. Okay, this video is how to make your food go further and buy groceries cheaper and storable. So what I did about that today, so credit where credit is due, this video was kind of inspired by the Master's Voice. Celestial is the lady on it. And I listened to her stuff, and she said, if you want to know what's going to happen at the end of times, read Matthew 25. And I thought I read it a million times, but I'm going to read it again. So it starts out with the story of the wise virgins, and the foolish virgins. The wise virgins stored oil for the coming bridegroom, and the foolish ones didn't. Okay, so we get to the part in the story. And the foolish virgins said unto the wise, give us of your oil, for our lamps have gone out, because they didn't have enough oil. And I've always thought, how selfish are these wise virgins? Couldn't they just share the light and everyone could get to the bridegroom? But that is not how the story went. Okay. But the wise answered, saying, not so, lest there be not enough for us and you. But go ye rather to them that sell and buy for yourselves. So basically, no, go buy some. So it's not that they didn't have the money, they just weren't prepared. Okay, and then while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they were ready, went in to meet him to the marriage, and the door was shut. Okay, so I have heard this before preached, that at the end of times, people will say to other people, I didn't make tea. People will say to other people, give us some food, give us some money. They really need it. They don't act. They don't ask. They demand. Listen, you can see. Okay, this is what you call a big ice cube, but I don't have time to thought. So we can expect times of desperation where there is not enough food. So you say to yourself, you're foolish, I'm wise, go get your own. Okay, so that can be one approach, but that might not be the best approach if in time you wind up being the one that needs some help from someone. So there might become a time when we feel like we really don't have enough money or food to share. So when I was going to the Adventist church, this reminded me, we would have a meal. After the COVID, they stopped doing that. I don't know if they started again. They would have a meal, and it would look as if our food wasn't enough. But the ladies, the old Adventist ladies, not as old as me, would go into the kitchen and they would pray, and they would ask God for the multiplication of food. And I saw them do this over and over, and they would break up the food, and they would put it in big bowls. And so I learned quick. I made big bowls of pasta salad, and I just used Italian dressing, any kind of vegetables I could get, and I made a big bowl. And I used chickpeas because a lot of them are vegetarians. So this will keep my soda cold. So yesterday, I made the platter of food. So my 1.5 pork chops ended up making 3 meals. I thought, isn't this kind of the same thing? So today I ate my leftover pork chops and cheese, and I had a little bit of cottage cheese, and I thought, this is the way to go. Okay, so tonight I'm going to do the same thing. So I have barbecued chicken, and I bought the sweet potatoes at Ralph's, And we'll talk about the sweet potato. So I want to use another diagram. Here it is. So I'll start out with the meat. And I'm going to take a couple minutes and just cut it off the bone. And try to do the platter, try to do the plate like I did. And if I have food left, I'll just put it on in a bowl, in a plastic bowl. So, okay, you know I've been studying the cavemen. So one of the ways they study the cavemen that was interesting is by animals. So they're trying to figure out where the animals domesticated. And so, and if so, why were the animals found close at hand to the people? And if there's any meat left on the bones, I'm like a dog, I will eat it. So tonight, you might hear them. There's a pack of coyotes in my front yard. They come at a certain time of year. And so my grandmother used to throw food out, you know, the leftover dinner outside, and like all kinds of feral cats, they lived out in the country, came after dinner. So what did those feral cats do? Well, they kept the rats away for one thing, and my family was from Switzerland and had a hatred of vermin. I do too. So thinking about the cavemen, strongly possible that they threw the bones and food, you know, out to keep the wild dogs and animals around to protect them from the humans. So then when I was thinking about that, my family made it across the plains in one piece, Mormons, and I'm thinking they probably left their meat scraps and various food out, and that kept them safe from the Indians. And then on the way across, my family, you know, they were leaving food. Somebody left a daughter. So she was adopted, and I thought, wow, poor her. She was adopted by the Mormons, and she was a polygamist. I thought, what have your parents done? So one side of my family, I asked my grandmother, is there any chance I have any Indian blood? And she says, oh, no chance. It was a strange family. The women came across, you know, the ocean and then to Canada, so they traipsed around to New York, where Joseph Smith was assassinated. I don't know what they called it, but anyway, he was shot in jail. It probably would have never happened if he didn't get aspirations to run for president. It was at the same time as George Washington. So anyway, so they were down in Missouri, my side, and it was decided that the militia was going to drive them out, which in a way was a blessing because, okay, so this time I'm going for like, rather than a pie, I'm going to go meat, cheese. So the women were very hardy, and they came across with an uncle who was like the original, one of the original Mormons, one of the original converts. And then my great-grandmother married a Mormon that came across somewhat later who brought horses. And so that's another thing that really helped them, but not just them, civilization in general was when they got horses. And the big families were necessary for an agricultural society to work the farm. And so my family had a lot of sons, and so some of this at the end of time stuff, You know, there's nothing new under the sun. So be thinking, you know, once these stories get into your mind, you can't get them out. And my son used to say, no, Mom, no, Mom, no more stories. I go, yes, these stories are instructive. Okay, so now I want to just start peeling my food, and then it goes further. So when you have all this food, you're not as apt to waste food either, because you can just save it. I just baked everything at 350, and then I put the barbecue sauce on. A lot of times I've been using hot wing sauce, but when I started the YouTube channel, I wanted to tell the world my barbecue chicken. And like, okay, I realize now anybody knows that, right? Let me put this on here so I can eat my vegetables. So anyway, half olive oil, half butter, and I dusted my chicken tonight with 3 chicken legs, 2 tablespoons flour, and a 1/4 tablespoon of lemon pepper, because that will taste good with my okay, so another thing is back to the multiplication of food. That is why you want to stockpile rice and potatoes. So you make a big batch of fried potatoes, put your chili or your beans on rice. And don't think that just because you say to the government, give me some food, it's always going to happen. Okay, so I just peeled this is much better than trying to mash it inside of the skin. So being prepared, I mean, you don't have to be majorly repaired. Just buy a big can of beans, rice, potatoes, all kinds of grains. I've been buying those. And, you know, there's been starvation recently that could have been avoided if the people had a 1/4 cup of rice. So this is really good, chipotle and lime. So just sprinkle a little bit if you have it. This is enough for 2 meals, which is great because then I don't have to cook. So we're thinking about the future. We're thinking about the way we buy food, the way we live our lives, you know. So what if some of those people saying, give me food, were related? And you go, sorry, family. Especially if you're a mom, that's like your worst nightmare. Okay, so now we're gonna have vegetables. So, you know, the salad is always going down south. So I bought a salad for $2. This is a $5 salad. And so when the salad goes bad, so if you have a lot of people and you have a salad, or you have pasta, or you make a big potato salad, a big macaroni and cheese. And so if you had a lot of people, you would just mix this whole bag up and you would throw all the vegetables you had. So, okay, I don't like a lot of vegetables. I told you, you know, I swear to God, I think it was that processed food. It's still in my stomach. And then another thing is growing a garden. So here's my tomatoes, and I bought organic celery, and I have an apple that I bought marked down, which we'll talk about in a minute. So, okay, so we're thinking, okay, we eat this way all the time, so could we come up with food for 4 out of this? Yeah, we just make a big batch of rice, or a big macaroni and cheese, and you know, and we would cut it up. Think about Jesus, a few fishes, and some bread. And he was able to, now that is like very common in the Bible. When his hands would start breaking the food, that is when in the book of Revelations the apostles recognized him and they go, oh, why didn't we know him? They knew him. Their eyes were open as soon as he started multiplying the food, because many times the people were facing starvation. And so this is one of the points the Master's voice made. You know, people seem to think that is never going to happen in America. It's been, so I have knowledge of 200 years, more than that. Let's see, my grandmother was born in 1906. Her grandmother was born on the way across the plains. So I think that was around the 1800s. And when you start studying history, you realize that wasn't that long ago. Okay, so let's see. I think that's all the veggies. And then I will eat peanut butter on celery. So we're not staying up nights. You know, we're not fear mongers, because first of all, crying. My ex-husband was in the military, and in our house, no crying was allowed, because what good? You know, you were an unwise virgin, and I'll have half an apple. And you don't have to be a virgin, but you didn't prepare, and so you don't have any food, and you start crying, saying, I don't have any food, give me some food. And hopefully you run into somebody else who has some food, furthermore, that is willing to give it to you. And people might not so much be willing if times are tough. I did a woman's hair, and she used to go when there was emergencies. She was pretty old too, close to 80. She would go and drive to the disasters. She worked for FEMA in her little car, and she would take bags of pinto beans, and she would make big pots of beans for the people. And that, let's see, I've been retired. Well, let's say I was 30, so that was 40 years ago. And what you don't want is you don't want to be the person getting the beans with no beans. Also, there is the story about the Mormon girl, and you guys are probably like my son going, Rhoda, we heard that story. Yeah, that's true, but we have new friends. And this Mormon girl went down to Mexico. They were polygamists, and you know, they started suffering lack, and so the husband left them down there and came up here to the U.S. to work. And an old man, let's see, well, I'm getting confused. An old man came up to her and said, ma'am, your daughter is starving. So, okay, so you want to think about your meat, your carb, your vegetables, and your fruit. So this is obviously, probably depends how hungry you are, enough food for a whole day. And so I had trail mix. So I have a tablespoon of cranberries and a tablespoon of almonds. And then I have a little bit of these. I was at Ralph's today. I'll show you what I bought. These cashews I got for 49 cents, so about 25 cents. I find one of the best places to buy these, you know, trail mix with nuts and seeds is Aldi's. All right, so we're going to be smart. So think about this. This could be any kind of meat. This could be canned meat. This could be any kind of vegetables, and you can get by. And when there's leftovers, I just stepped on a nut. Just put them in the refrigerator, and put everything in a closed container. And like when I got home, I had that. It was good. You don't have to be a Christian. Okay, I live in this really nice area, and there are some wealthy people around here, and they post videos, and in their backyard, the coyotes and the bobcats are strolling around. They leave dog food out. Why? Four-legged friends are better than two-legged friends. It's still going on today. Okay, and then I bought something nice today at Ralph's. Take a look at this. This is a pound cake. It says $6. It says with card $5, and I got this for $2. So that was a 200% reduction in price. Now, if there's a lot of people, I will pretend there's a lot of people, right? I have lots. My friends. I do it family, friends, neighbors, and community. That's the way I do it. Okay, so I'm going to make a little bowl of cake. One thing too is cake tastes. I will freeze the rest. Why bake cakes when you can get them this cheap? So you have one cake, and you have a bunch of people, and you cut your cake up, and you pour lemon pudding on the top. That is so good. Okay, so there you go. We want to start doing some of this stuff. Also, making good bread is very important, vital. Okay, I'm getting somewhere with the trips. Okay, you can travel. It's hard to immigrate, but you can travel and you can stay in countries up to 180 days. So I'm thinking, how could I be somewhere? In what way would it be reasonable? Well, what I would do is I can get travel packages cheap, so that's the way I want to do that. Okay, so how to buy your food to go further and buy groceries cheaper. So what I made today was homemade yogurt. And I finally got enough of these containers because I buy the yogurt. Here's my homemade Greek yogurt. And I could put some, I could make a big bowl of yogurt, and I could put fruit and granola on it. Like when I went to the Adventist church. So what I did was I bought organic milk very, very reasonably at Ralph's. And then I bought the digital deal on kefir. And it was like under $4. So I went and I got another one, and I go, can I get my digital deal? And they go, no, you can only get one digital deal. So when I was swigging all my kefir down, I didn't know that. Okay. But if you don't have kefir, just use a little of your yogurt. So I used 2.5 cups because I had 3 cups left of this milk, and I made cottage cheese, and I had 2.5 cups, and I made I used 3 cups milk for the yogurt, so I brought it to almost boiling. If it starts boiling a little bit, that's okay. Turn the heat off, but heat to at least 180. Turn the heat off and cool it down to about 100 degrees Or if you don't have a cheap thermometer, Dollar Tree, to a warm bath, because you don't want to kill your culture. Then mix that all together, put it in the cups, and then I put my cups on one of these little cookie sheets, and I covered it with 2 towels, and I left it until the next day. Then here's the cottage cheese. So dairy, if once you get powdered milk, it works better with good milk, but homemade cottage cheese, so it was good. I had a little pile, maybe only a couple tablespoons. Now for the cottage cheese. 2.5 cups. So I had 3 cups milk for the yogurt and 2.5 cups for the cottage cheese. And I also generated out of the cottage cheese the whey, and I just drink it. When I'm on the carnivore diet, whey is perfectly, I'm not a purist. I drink milk and I eat cheese. It tastes really good if you heat it. So we're learning this stuff. We're preparing now. We're not just saying God's going to take care of us. Well, the bridegroom was God. The bride was the church. Okay, a lot of times, like the Baptists, who do you think took the showers to the flooded people? Okay, so you heat the 2.5 cups milk, and it's 1 tablespoon vinegar to each cup milk. So I added 3 tablespoons vinegar. If you buy good vinegar, cheap vinegar, and you let it set until it coagulates, and then strain the curds. Or you could eat the curds and wheys, like Little Miss Muffet. Okay, so now let's talk about, today I had to go to Dollar Tree and I wanted to get, and of course they didn't have everything I wanted. I wanted to get rubber gloves. I wanted to get SOS pads. I ended up buying them at Walmart. I wanted to buy a few things. I forgot what. So while I was there, I took a look and I thought, don't ever forget to keep stockpiling. So I try to eat fish every other day. So I bought 2 of these cans of mackerel. These are 10 ounces. So this is enough for 2 servings. Then I bought 2 cans of kipper snacks because these are $2.12, $1.25 at Dollar Tree. Okay, I'm getting somewhere with the fish. Rice or plantains or crackers. Okay, and I bought a box of tea. Probably next week I'll buy another. I'll probably buy 3 in all because I've gone through all of my Dollar Tree tea. $1.25. And something occurred to me. Okay, have you guys seen the Dollar Tree tortillas? So you think these would be less carbs than flour? No, these are 24 grams, so 1. But if you have 20 corn and 10 flour, that's 30 pieces of bread. So you're not going to run out of bread. We're not going to run out of bread because we're not going to be foolish. Okay, so I just bought this solely, and my idea here is I wanted to get 7 cans of meat. Okay, so now I went to Walmart because I wanted to get something else that I really needed. And what I did was I bought 2 cans of chicken, because you can use this chicken to make, like, just like a tuna salad. And then I bought 2 cans of Vienna sausages. Okay, we used to feed these to the babies. And what you can do is you can fry them with eggs. You can put them in pork and beans. So 2, 4, 6, 8. So that's enough for a week. I usually eat that kind of stuff at lunch. Then I bought the bottle of caffeine-free Coke. And then I went to Ralph's. Okay, I want to do Ralph's now. Okay, so, no, yeah, I went to Ralph's. Oh, I forgot to tell you another thing. So I ran into this lady, and she said she has the plantains with the mackerel. She made a special trip for the mackerel. Ralph's is $4 a can, but it's a bigger can. So when these ripen, then I'm going to try boiling them. You can bake them too, I think. They're pretty cheap for two. It was, how much were these? $1.28. I bought them at Walmart. Solely to go with the mackerel. So we'll be trying that. Also, I want to mention something nice. Okay, today for lunch, I bought these for 60 cents. These are garlic toasts. And so these are going to work good when I eat my fish. But these are the best crackers. Maybe tomorrow I'm going to try to get some more boxes. So these crackers are so delicious. And I got these for $1. These would be worth $5 because as long as you have these, you can have your tuna fish, you can have your fish, and so you have bread. And it's cheaper than making bread, a lot cheaper. Okay, so now what I really went to Ralph's for was fruit. And I showed you, I bought these sweet potatoes for $1.25. I got 4. I got a bag of apples. I got 5 for $1.25. And I got a pineapple for, I think it was $1.25. So they have the marked down fruit. So I am watching for blueberries, for raisins or grapes. And I mentioned to you guys, one of the things I did when I first got home from the pantry is I made raisins. I don't know what I did with them. But if you guys had kids, maybe you gave them raisins with graham crackers with apples. Okay, so you can see I got the sweet potatoes, the apples, the pineapple, the bag of salad, $5 salad. It is hard to a bag of garlic chips and the cake. And so when I went to the food pantries, they loaded us down with produce, like especially like fruit. So I thought, just buy the fruit, buy a lot, and what I decided to do is, if it's too much, I can just leave it around for somebody to get. Okay, so now think about cutting this food in pieces: meat, cheese, fruit, vegetables, nuts, and crackers. Now, about your food pantry. I am studying, there's a chef, Todd Moore, Keep Track of Your Pantry. What to keep and how much, your food pantry. Okay, so one of the things you want to do is you want to know how many. So like cans, you don't just say, oh, I have a few cases. No, how many cans? So since I prefer to eat meat, this could very well be canned meat, canned fruit, canned vegetables. So that could be a cake mix. So once I know how many, so say if I eat fish 4 times a week, for a month I need 16 cans. Start out with a week and then a month or 2 weeks. Buy a little bit extra. Let me give you a shot. So mostly, this occurred to me. One of my friends said to me one time, Ruthie, why the hell are you so cheap? And I said, I don't know. I think it's hereditary. And so the other night, I had an aunt, my Aunt Ruby on my dad's side. Even I reminded myself of her, which to my mind was a huge compliment, because I thought my dad, my grandmother, and my aunts were it. So I want to continue on this way, and I think that's going to do it. I'll see you tomorrow. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And God bless you all. Bye.